Hello, my gorgeous woman, and welcome back to Lingerie and Lattes. My name is Olivia Drumaga, and I founded Vulcanability as a way for women to really connect back to their bodies, to their Yoni essence, and be able to build monogamous, loving relationships from that sort of place of connection to themselves. So, a few details on housekeeping. I'm going to start changing the times of these videos into Sunday at 11:30 a.m. And this way I can be able to be consistent and also show up for myself in life. So, the topic for today I want to expand upon as we are getting closer to Valentine's Day. There's a lot of sense of either aloneness, separation, or feeling closeness. So, wherever you are in your particular journey, you might be alone and feeling connected to your community, connected to sisterhood, connected to all of the people close to you. Vice versa, you might also feel very alone in a relationship. So depending on where you are, I want you to just do a little check-in and just become aware. What are you feeling right now in terms of connection to others, connection to yourself, and identify, are you alone? Are you with others? Are you in a partnership? Do you feel surrounded by family? Do you feel surrounded by friends? Do you feel surrounded by work colleagues? Just take a note of your inner connection to the self, then the inner circle outside of yourself, and then beyond that, what is the larger community that you can tap into? After having that awareness, let's go a little bit further into today's subject, which I actually had a different one planned, but this one keeps coming up for me. So a lot of the time we want to think of the yoni as a place of a passageway. It goes from one feeling to another feeling, from spiritual world into the physical world. It is a passageway. So if we're thinking about the passageway and wanting to connect to our bodies, the best way to do that is actually taking your hands and cupping your yoni and just grounding yourself into your own body. So what does that actually provide us? It provides us one, touch in a non-sexual way to the body, which can be incredibly healing, especially for women who have been abused before or have had other people put unsolicited touch down there. So when you take your hands and simply have an intention of warmth, of maybe no expectation, but perhaps you can put an intention of awareness into it, and maybe even love. But if you feel like that's a step too far because you don't have a relationship to your yoni, all you have to do is place some warmth as an intention to the palms of your hands. Take them both and cup them something like this. You can put the left hand over the right if you want to be in a receiving mode and receive messages, or if you'd like to place the right hand over the left, that would be the sense of sending something into your body and into yourself. So depending on where you are and what kind of experience you want to create for yourself, placing those hands one over the other, and then simply going like this and cupping it. So it'd be kind of like the edges of your palm would be right around the pubic bone, and then you'd be cupping in where your fingers would kind of land at the entrance of your yoni. So what that gives us again is a sense of grounding. It actually taps us back into the body, and it brings all of our attention down to the middle section at the base of our spine. And why do we want to have it there? Because a lot of the problem I've noticed with women, especially as I've been working with them, is that we stay up in our heads and we're always kind of in fantasy land. That's one of the power of a woman, to have a vision, whereas men are very much more present and in the moment. But it can also be a downfall. It can also be something where we're not necessarily grounded in reality. So bringing touch back into the center part of ourselves, into our power center, it brings us back into the earth realm. It brings us back into the physical. Again, it's a passageway. So simply by taking your hands into that area, we start to drop back down from the mind into the body. And once we have a connection of the mind and body, we can start to see what else is present in ourselves. So perhaps you're noticing now that there's tension in the middle of your back, or perhaps there's tension in the bottom of your neck or at the top of your head. Or noticing any of these sensations will become much easier when we are more connected to our bodies. And a very simple step to do that is by using touch. And again, we don't necessarily want to go right into self pleasure because that again brings us back into the mind. It brings us more of that let's see, how do I put this into words? Out of It's not necessarily something easily grasped. So it's something a little bit more on the peripheral. It's something at like the edges of the energetic and the physical realm. It's kind of dancing on that line. Because again, orgasmic states and pleasure states are kind of out of body experiences, even though they're very visceral. Noticing again how much we've been disconnected from our lower sections, our yonis, can also help us see what we need in order to connect to our partners and in order to connect to our pleasure better. If you're starting to feel discomfort, which at first this practice did bring up a lot of discomfort inside of me, it usually has to do something with how we've been relating to our yonis before this. Have we allowed people that we're not necessarily worthy of going down there? Have we said no when people have pushed past the no and beyond our consent? Have we experienced traumatic incidences that haven't been necessarily connected to the yoni, but have maybe been been transferred to that area as a memory, as an imprint? So perhaps when you were much younger and you were just starting to go out with a guy or feel sort of some sort of flirtiness connection, maybe there was a deep sense of rejection based on something that he said regarding how you're looking, how you're saying something, how you're, etc. And that has become sort of a memory that has been placed as a defense mechanism to push people away now so we don't experience that again. All of those kinds of thoughts are being stored physically as well as energetically in the section. So that comes out as tension. It comes out as inability to accept a partner when we're trying to have pleasure with them and feeling that sense of a tightness without allowing the body to actually naturally lubricate and open up is a sense of protection. So if we're going back into the sense of protection, what we can do to loosen up without physically aiding our bodies with the sense with breath and all the yoni practices that I do offer in the Vulcan Ability Library, we can simply bring this touch and just kind of have that awareness and sit with the discomfort that's showing up for us. What if we have something beyond discomfort? Perhaps there's a sense of warmth that starts building up inside the body. I've had that happen as well. Maybe there's a sense of kind of warmth within the pelvic bowl. Allowing that to kind of grow in the mind and noticing how it can spread in the body, that one can kind of be like turning on a power center of the body. So if we're placing our hand over our yoni, taking a breath, feeling the warmth inside of our pelvic bowl, and allowing that to kind of take it further and further and grow as if it was a fire. So kindling it and allowing it to really spread throughout the body. Maybe noticing, can you now feel some sort of a sensation within your fingertips or some part of your extremities or some part of your face that you maybe haven't had before? So I have talked a lot about erogenous zones and how they are so much more beyond just the private parts that everyone always touches, such as your shoulder, your neck, maybe the little the dips that you have like right under your butt cheeks going down into your thighs, like all these areas that are really glossed over many times in intimacy can be really sources of pleasure for the body. And the more we're able to bring touch and awareness and breath into our yonis and just become a little bit more conscious of the body response when we are connecting ourselves to our yoni, that can actually enhance pleasure because, again, we're building neural pathways down into that center and telling it it is okay. My touch here is okay. And there's no need to really tense up, there's no need to constrict. You start to bring relaxation into the body as it feels pleasure. So, for a lot of women who are unable to experience orgasms or unable to experience any sort of pleasure, especially I used to suffer a lot from numbness. It would just basically feel like absolutely nothing was ever touching me, or there would be absolutely no sensation anywhere in my body, even though I'd be engaging in kissing and touching and anything. There would simply be no experience. That's a sense of your body shutting down and disassociating from what's happening. So if we are in a state of numbness and we want to desire pleasure, especially with ourselves or with our partner or whoever we are intending to explore this with, we have to feel like there's a sense of safety. And the only way to build safety in the work that I teach is really by building a connection outside of the sexual realm. Because if we have a sense of connection to the body, we now understand that it's whatever is occurring is happening within us, and whatever's happening within us is safe. So a lot of the times when we start to feel pleasure, we shut down and we really push it away because we haven't been trained to explore pleasure as women. And as I've mentioned before, men have it much easier because they have external body parts. They have to interact with them pretty much daily, and they have to at least hold it every single day, multiple times a day. For women, it is all internal. We don't really, I don't think many women have ever even looked down there. They think that they only have two holes down there. It is very lacking knowledge. It is lacking knowledge extensively. So when we don't have any connection beyond sex to our yonis, we don't know what to expect. We don't know what to feel. And so most of the times it's sensory overload and the body simply shuts off because we'd rather not experience any pain. And instead of believing that maybe there could be pleasure, we go into a defense mechanism and simply cut ourselves off from any sensation. So therefore, we don't feel pleasure, we don't feel pain. Creating a connection to the body and to the self in the private areas outside of a relationship, outside of a partner, outside of your sexual self pleasure, that creates, again, safety in the body as we experience different touch or different play that we may later on actually want to incorporate into self pleasure or into playtime with our partner. So just noticing again how we can recalibrate our bodies to be more receptive of any sort of sensation, even if it is pain. How can we tolerate it a little bit more if we have a sense of trust that it's going to be okay, or that our bodies are actually going to be able to handle anything that they are currently experiencing. So again, as we close out this discussion today for lingerie and lattes, I highly encourage women to notice maybe in the morning and at night having a little reminder and simply cupping the yoni and taking a deep 3 breaths, and then again just scanning the body, noticing what is going on, maybe recognizing if I'm feeling calmer after I've placed my hands down there. Sometimes when I'm feeling a little bit frazzled or out of touch with the earthly realm, I feel like I'm kind of floating away, especially as an air sign. It's very easy for me to be carried away and be ungrounded. I like to really place some sort of a touch and breath, which again grounds me back into the body. I start to notice a little bit more of the surface beneath me. I start to be more tapped into my surroundings, and it calms me down. Because when we are floating away in our thoughts, in our worries, in our doubts, in our sensations, perhaps it's negative sensations or positive, or we don't really want to describe what it is, whether it's positive or negative, perhaps it's simply unknown sensations. That could be even scarier as well. Just dropping in for a moment and recognizing what's occurring can help us really move through any of the blockages we might be experiencing when we are in times of pleasure and in times of joy. Because the biggest blockage to orgasms for women is usually our own minds kind of stopping the whole flow. So the more we kind of create safety in the body and in the yoni and develop a relationship outside of the bedroom with ourselves, we start to notice how that impacts us inside of the bedroom and how much more we get to gain from our bodies simply by giving back to her. Thank you so much, my beautiful ladies. I will speak with you all next week on Sunday at 11:30 a.m.